The message left his phone like a quiet gunshot in the dark, harmless at first, almost forgettable, until his heart stopped and the world seemed to tilt beneath his feet. Ethan Miller, a single father who had learned to live on coffee, exhaustion, and quiet hope, stared at his screen as realization hit him with brutal force. His hands began to shake, his breath caught in his chest, and in that instant, the weight of his entire life pressed down on him. The text he had meant for his best friend, the careless confession typed after a long, lonely day, had gone to the one person it never should have. His boss. The woman who controlled his schedule, his income, his fragile stability. The woman he had just described as unbelievably attractive without thinking twice. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us how human mistakes can change lives forever, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments where you are watching from today. Ethan's life had not always been this fragile, but loss has a way of stripping people down to their bare essentials. 3 years earlier, he had stood in a hospital hallway holding his 6-year-old daughter Lily while the doctors told him that her mother was gone. Since that day, Ethan had become everything at once: father, mother, protector, provider. His mornings began before sunrise, packing lunches and tying shoelaces, and his nights ended with unpaid bills spread across the kitchen table after Lily fell asleep. Romance was a distant memory, desire an indulgence he did not allow himself, because responsibility had taken its place. Working as an operations coordinator at a mid-sized firm was not glamorous, but it paid enough to keep the lights on, and that was all that mattered. Then there was his boss, Claire Anderson, someone he had tried very hard not to notice. She walked through the office with calm confidence, sharp intelligence, and a warmth that made people feel seen without her ever trying. Ethan noticed everything anyway: the way she listened when others spoke, the way stress never seemed to harden her, the way she smiled with her eyes when she thought no one was watching. He never allowed himself to imagine anything beyond professional respect. He could not afford distractions. He could not afford hope. That evening, after Lily had fallen asleep clutching her favorite stuffed bear, Ethan sat on the edge of his couch, exhaustion pulling at his bones. He picked up his phone and typed a message meant for his childhood friend Mark, the only person who knew how lonely Ethan sometimes felt. The words were impulsive, careless, meant to be laughed off and forgotten. When the message sent, Ethan did not think twice. It was only minutes later, when his phone buzzed again, that his chest tightened. He saw the name at the top of the screen and felt the blood drain from his face. Claire Anderson. The room felt smaller, the air heavier. Shame washed over him, followed by panic so sharp it made his stomach churn. His job meant everything. Without it, Lily's life would unravel. He imagined the disappointment in Claire's eyes, the discomfort, the professional distance that would surely follow. He imagined being called into her office, politely dismissed, quietly replaced. Sleep never came that night. Ethan lay awake staring at the ceiling, replaying every possible outcome until dawn. The next morning, he moved through his routine like a ghost, dropping Lily at school with a forced smile, driving to work with a knot in his chest. Every step toward the building felt like a step toward judgment. The office buzzed with its usual rhythm, unaware that Ethan's world was balanced on a single mistake. He avoided eye contact, kept his head down, and waited for the inevitable. Hours passed. Nothing happened. No email. No meeting request. The silence became its own kind of torment. By midday, his nerves were frayed, and his hands trembled as he worked. Then, just as he convinced himself that maybe, somehow, she had ignored it, an email notification appeared. A request to see her in her office. Walking down the hallway felt like walking toward a verdict. Claire's office door was open, sunlight pouring in through the large windows, illuminating shelves filled with books and family photos. She looked up as he entered, her expression unreadable, but not cold. Ethan stood there, heart pounding, words tangled in his throat. He expected anger or discomfort. Instead, he saw something softer, something human. Claire spoke calmly, acknowledging the message without cruelty, without embarrassment. She explained that she understood mistakes, that she knew life could be heavy, that being human sometimes meant saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. She told him his work mattered, that his dedication had not gone unnoticed, and that one message would not erase the value he brought to the team. Relief hit Ethan so hard he nearly collapsed. Gratitude flooded him, mixed with lingering shame. What Ethan did not expect was what followed in the weeks after. Claire began to notice him not just as an employee, but as a person. She asked about Lily, about how he managed everything alone. She adjusted his schedule slightly so he could leave earlier on school days. Small acts, quiet kindnesses, but they meant everything. Ethan began to see that Claire carried her own loneliness, her own unspoken stories hidden behind professional grace. As days turned into months, something gentle and unexpected began to grow. Trust. Respect. A sense of being understood. There was no sudden romance, no dramatic shift, just two people slowly recognizing something familiar in each other's exhaustion and resilience. Ethan found himself smiling more, breathing easier. Lily noticed it too, asking why her dad seemed happier lately. The turning point came on a rainy evening when Ethan stayed late to finish a project. The office was nearly empty, the city lights blurred by rain. Claire stayed too, working quietly. In that shared silence, something settled between them, not desire, but connection. A shared understanding that life had been hard, and kindness had been rare. From that moment, their relationship changed, carefully, respectfully, built on honesty rather than fantasy. Ethan never forgot that single message, the mistake that had nearly cost him everything. But he came to understand that it had also revealed something true, something he had buried beneath responsibility and fear. He was still a man capable of feeling, of hoping, of being seen. Claire, too, allowed herself to step out from behind her walls, to see beyond titles and expectations. When Ethan finally introduced Lily to Claire months later, it was not dramatic. It was simple and warm, filled with laughter and shared stories. Lily took to her immediately, sensing the gentleness, the safety. Watching them together, Ethan felt something he had not felt since before his loss. Peace. Life did not become perfect. Bills still came. Days were still long. But there was warmth where there had once been only survival. Love did not arrive like a storm, but like sunlight through clouds, quiet and steady. Before this story ends, take a moment and comment below, because your words help this channel grow and remind others they are not alone. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that mistakes do not define us and that kindness can change the direction of a life, please like, share, and engage with this video. Your support means more than you know, and your engagement helps stories like this reach those who need them most.